Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing okay tonight. Not gonna start right away. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes for more people to show up since it's kind of early. But I do have. I'm gonna act like a streamer, and I have this interesting Connecticut IPA called Nothing because you can't see it on the screen. It's by this brewery called. Ugh, it's all wet. It's called Fat Orange Cat is the brewery, but the beer is called Baby Kittens. I know you can't really see that very well, but ugh, come on, really? There we go. Come on, it's a cool can. Ugh, screw it. Hi, level 1. Now this is sort of a clickbaity thumbnail or title. It's also, we'll talk about it. So what I want to do tonight is talk about the YouTube thing. I guess a little bit about what made me think about it. Think about not making videos anymore. Obviously, I'm here on YouTube streaming, so it's not like I don't like YouTube or anything. Hey, Belmont. But I also have my Project Stellar Xbox, so I figured that I could play Xbox and talk about it after in a little bit. Okay, so it's 9 o'clock, and I figured I guess I would start by talking about my journey, my YouTube journey in the first place. It kind of started during the pandemic. Hey, Ariel. Hey, Veridor. How you doing? So it started during the pandemic. I started playing this game, Apex Legends, and I started playing it with a good friend of mine from college, Apex Legends, and then my good friend introduced me to his other good friends, and then we kind of all became good friends, and so we all started playing this game, Apex Legends, and it was just fun to play and just to joke around with each other, and I guess we kind of thought we had some good chemistry. So my soon-to-be friend from that, he started recording us playing Apex Legends, and he would edit them into these little videos. It's more of like, not necessarily like gameplay, like watch how good we are at this game. It's more of like we're idiots, like idiot friends, like watch us be idiot friends together. So he knew how to edit videos. Hi, me. That's an interesting YouTube name. It's pretty good. So my friend would make these videos, and I kind of started to realize that he wasn't really, not to say that he wasn't making them fast enough, but I figured that I was interested in helping him make these videos and edit them, whether that be him give me the recordings, or I could record them on my computer, and then I would learn how to edit. So that's a really awkward and long way of saying that I learned how to edit with this other YouTube channel. It got about 1,000 subscribers. It wasn't really that, it was just us having fun, but it was just the amount of effort for that. And I guess it was more of a too many cooks situation for that, because there's just too many ideas going around, and it just kind of it was a lot of work for not a lot of payoff. And hopefully that doesn't sound like greedy, like I expect, because I put this effort into editing this other Apex Legends YouTube channel. Like I don't really, I guess it wasn't worth my time, but I hope that doesn't come across as greedy. So that was kind of the end of that. But so I had this knowledge. I had this not amazing. I mean, obviously I didn't do it professionally, but I had this editing skill with DaVinci Resolve. I've been I've been modding consoles since about 2016, and maybe a little bit before that. I found retrorgb.com, the website, and um, obviously Bob and Voltar and Jason from Game Tech US, they were all making videos, modding videos, sort of like more like tutorial stuff back then. I guess Voltar kind of still does it occasionally, but that was kind of the content back then that I cared about, at least. That I'm sure other content existed specifically in retro modding YouTube. So I figured, hey, I've got the skill. I've got these editing skills. I didn't have a good camera yet. I hadn't bought this camera, but I had editing skills, and I felt confident enough that I could tackle any console mod, and I could talk someone through how to make it. Like, I could make a tutorial, right? I could make a step-by-step guide how to do it. I wasn't really thinking that far ahead as far as like, oh hey, I could review. Not only could I make the tutorial, but I could also review or attempt to review. Hi, Mini Money. I don't know why this. Yeah. So, anyways, for whatever reason, sort of impulse bought this camera. This is a Sony A6600. Not really that important. It would just had to be good enough that I could capture everything. I use the same camera here as I do on my bench. I have this back underneath this desk. You can see the mount that I put on top of my table. So I started doing that, started recording. I don't even remember what the first modding video, maybe it was a Super Nintendo Junior maybe was the first actual mod that I did. Oh, I made some ones that were like my favorite consoles that I modded so far, that sort of thing. And so I was just, okay, I kind of had the mindset that I would try to make a tutorial. This is quickly what it turned into. I would try to make a tutorial video for every major mod that came out. Everything that I thought was a major interesting mod. Yeah, right. I'm just trying to explain the how long this has been going on in my head, I suppose. So, like stuff like what was interesting around like the Super Nintendo Junior RGB mod, obviously the NES RGB. It kind of quickly went to things like the DC Digital, N64 Digital, all those mods, which is I think that these flex cable mods are kind of like a step above things like the NES RGB. Hey, Dustin, I know I don't know how long it's gonna be till I get into talking about Xbox stuff, but I appreciate you being here anyways, because I know you put a lot of effort during the day, so I appreciate you being here. So that was my goal, was to just try to buy with my own money, try to buy every major mod. Oh, Xbox HDMI was one of the mods, earlier-ish mods too. So that was kind of my thing. Then it got to the point where that burnt me out, because I would just do that almost every day of the week, and even on the weekends, I would just see how fast I could get the tutorial things done. And it was kind of like throw everything else away, throw my family away, not like literally, but this is me personally. It consumed me, this idea like I have if I have a backlog, that's brutal. I got to get through it as fast as I can. So it kind of started. Yeah, right. It was never necessarily about making money, and I actually spent more money in total than I've ever made from it. So that I just figured that I could be the guy that might at least have a tutorial, but I guess the future goal was like I could be a somewhat knowledgeable opinion about whether or not a thing is worth spending money on. But it didn't get to that point yet until much more recently. Actually, like very recent did I have that goal in my mind, was to try to review things. But the making the mod tutorials took up, I couldn't make them fast enough. So I figured, okay, I'm already on Twitter a lot because I kind of have to be in order to find these what I thought was the newest mods, right? So whatever's coming down the pipeline, I would try to prepare myself financially, and just I tried to make sure that I could be available to buy the mods too. That was pretty important. Thankfully, I work from home, or I did at the time. I work from home, and I still work from home. So I was available to buy all these mods, thankfully. It wasn't until very recently that people started sending me some mods. So enter Retro Money News. Because I had already been scouring Twitter, making posts on my Discord. I started a Discord about that time, just to share what I thought were cool Twitter posts, and kind of started having people, like, not collecting people in a bad way, but just getting other people in my little mini community, like a community within the larger retro community, in my Discord. People that also cared about what new things were coming out. It was really about the new, latest and greatest. It was never about the best. I feel like people like maybe Bob might stick with things that, one, are probably available, two, are actually good and like worth the money, versus I was like, give me everything. Just, I want to do everything. I want to at least mod it, and maybe not like promote it, like talk about it that much, but I wanted to at least experience it all as much as I could. So that was weekly Retro Money News. So every week I would post a video, but that turned into, once I had gotten that down, it was still, if I ignored all the other tutorial videos, which I didn't, I also was working on tutorials little bit by little bit. The Retro Money News consumed Friday and Saturday night for about 3 hours, filming and editing, and a little bit more. I mean, making the thumbnail, making actually uploading the thing, and putting the description in and scheduling a tweet for the same time. It was about 3 or 4 hours each of those days. That's like brutal. In addition to the other days of the week where I would try to work on the tutorial videos. Now keep in mind, I don't think some of my videos actually have some views, but some of them are just okay views, which I'm not ashamed of. The okay, 1,000 view video, I'm not really ashamed of those. I first and foremost, I really enjoy helping people, right? So if there maybe is a mod that has unclear instructions, or I think just some people might enjoy watching somebody put something together instead of reading it anyways. So that was kind of what I liked. So even if it was just a throwaway kind of thing where not many people might see it, I didn't mind that, and I still don't mind that. But it was just a lot of effort, all this effort. And so eventually even that got too much. Trying to do tutorials when I could, and doing Retro Money News at the same time once a week was a lot. So that's why I switched to once a month for the Retro Money News. And then as much as I can dedicate time to the tutorials, I would do that. But even then, that's a lot. I mean, I have a son. I have a 7-year-old son, and family, obviously. And I just couldn't dedicate time before my son went to bed every night. So it would be about 8:30ish until I went to bed, around 11 something, almost every night. I tried strategies like, okay, I'm only going to try to work on this a couple of nights a week, or like 3 or 4 nights a week. And then the rest of the time I would try to spend, we could watch a movie with my girlfriend or something. And it just I never stuck to that. I would always feel guilty about, I felt like if I wasn't working on something, anytime I had free time, if I wasn't working on a video, I just felt like I was not being productive, and I was not, that was wasted time, even though it's definitely not. Like, if anybody is in a relationship, that the time that you spend just even doing nothing, watching TV, BSing, that's important time for bonding. And that just, I haven't been getting that really. It's kind of a side note, actually. I talked to Macho Nacho Tito I saw him at Retro World Expo, an expo in Connecticut. He says that he's been working on his channel pretty much nonstop for like 4 years, and he does it all day, every day, almost like 6 days a week. He pretty much works on videos without stopping. So to put some perspective on probably the most successful channel, retro modding specifically channel, because there's other retro channels. He's probably the most successful in the eyes of YouTube subscriber numbers, I suppose, if that's the thing. He works 6 days a week on it after his full-time job. So it's a lot of work. It may not seem like it, and it may not pay off even if I dedicate that much time. It just wasn't worth it. Not even thinking financially, just my own mental and everything. Just imagine, occasionally I would slack off. Like if a video game that I wanted to play came out. Like I tried to play Baldur's Gate 3. I played like Horizon Zero Dawn. What was the newer one? What's it called? God of War Ragnarok. Well, when those games came out, I slacked off a little bit and played those games. But like, I just don't have the option just to play the game. And so that's another aspect of all this. Not only was it bad for my mental health, not developing relationships that should be, like, I'm not going to get this time back. And for as much as I like helping people to break even, it's like I said, it's not about the money, and I hope that doesn't come across as greedy, but I don't think grinding videos more to make it become my full-time job, that's like playing the lottery, I think. So for as much as I like playing the lottery for strangers to help them, that's a weird analogy, but it makes sense. But it could never, I don't think it will be a replacement ever for my full-time job, which is just the reality. And I never really wanted to migrate to doing like mod installs for people. I think I probably am capable of doing installs for people. But I just don't want to deal with that. It doesn't seem like a fun time most of the time from all the people that I've seen on Twitter and stuff. So I guess that's the long story of why I don't think I want to make YouTube videos anymore. But I'm a software developer. It's my full-time job. Yep. Now, it's not necessarily, Dustin, about Tito too. Like, that's a part of it, right? I always would be like, wow, damn, Tito has releases fire video, like mine's just trash. I feel like dog water. That definitely, I've thought about that, which is, I'm kind of a competitive person, even in a context that doesn't warrant competitiveness, right? Because my goal was never to beat him to subscribers or anything like that. That was never my goal, really. I'm a .NET developer, Ariel. So that's not really the problem. I've come to terms with the fact that I probably would never have the same views or whatever. That's not that important to me. What was more important to me was, I guess I wanted to get to the point where I could do it full time, but I also just wanted to feel fulfilled, and it never really, even though when I posted, or when I tweeted the other day that I was not making videos anymore, and actually somebody left a comment here on this video right in the beginning, I like your videos, reconsider this, whatever. Like, I can't do that. Maybe in the future, maybe this could be an extended break, but I don't know if it will be. But I do enjoy making. I enjoy retro modding a lot. So that's kind of another problem. Is I have a big box of mods. I have a giant stack of consoles that are like a to-do list. Like, I have a Core Graphics 2 that is waiting to get Turbo Nanza. I have a Neo Geo CD that's waiting to get the SD card mod. I have the Saturn switcher, to make my, what is it? What was the ODE for the Saturn? with the I don't know. It lets you use both an ODE or the disk drive for the Saturn. Oh my God. Well, no, I mean Dustin. I'm a C sharp developer, so that's like not low enough level. It's that's why I'm like sometimes like I know some of these words, you know. When it comes to C sharp development, you don't really think much about the building or like the more lower level language stuff. It's really kind of like .NET gives you all those tools, and it's more about make a thing and deploy it than it is make it performant, because C sharp and .NET is no way performant at all. So no, not XStation, the one for the Saturn. I think it was called the I could just look it up, but Fenrir, yeah, that. Anyway, so yeah, so more recently I tried competing. I wouldn't say competing, but like putting more thought into the videos, and up until relatively recently I had not been scripting anything. Pretty much up until like right before I did the Ashita video, most of my videos are not scripted at all. It was just kind of off the cuff. I would try to have an idea for what to say in the very beginning, and then it would just be go into the installation, and then I never really felt satisfied with how I reviewed or ended the videos. It was just kind of like, here's a little bit about how to use it, but it was never like, do I recommend this thing? It was just kind of like, get the video out the door and move on to the next thing. So thanks, Dustin. Yeah, so I guess I'm lost where I'm at. I want to be able to do more mods, right? And I want to do more mods, and not only that, I want to be able to play video games, play the consoles that I mod, because that's another aspect that you probably don't know. Well, maybe you can probably figure that. I'm not sure how often Tito actually plays the consoles that he mods. I'm not in a negative way. I'm just saying the math doesn't work out that way to for somebody to have enough free time, unless he has an editor, which I don't think he does. If he edits his own videos, then you would definitely not have enough time to write the script, do the mod install, and hopefully it doesn't mess up, edit it, do all the graphics, the thumbnail and any fancy editing he has, and then upload it and then rinse repeat. I don't know. So that's another thing that I don't think a lot of people consider, is that there's probably not that many hours being clocked into the mods, and then people make the recommendation. Maybe that's just my opinion, and that's just me, right? That's when I make my videos, I definitely don't spend enough time playing the thing. So and I'm no hate to anybody who only likes to mod things, because that's me also. But I also, part of recommending or not recommending a mod to somebody is actually, how does it play, right? Because there might be hidden things that you will never find, compatibility things, which, and I've had this conversation with people, Tito and Bob, like there could probably be, I think there's enough, even though I don't think the retro modding scene is super big, I think probably at the biggest, I tried to theorize in my head how big the scene is, how big like people that actually want to mod their own consoles is, like that size of people. Because there's like people that are into retro gaming, people that are curious about mods that will watch a modding video, people that will be curious enough about a mod to buy it and pay someone else to install it for them, and then there's the people that are technical enough to solder it themselves and do it themselves. So it's increasingly smaller every time. So I think that's a theory about why my views are so small, is because that's my niche in the niche, is like people that are willing to make their own do their own installs. So I theorize that you could probably, if there was 10 Titos, that probably still wouldn't satisfy the amount of work I think would be that, or not the amount of work, but like the amount of content that there could be in retro modding, as far as not just installation, but true technical reviews of products, and not necessarily just to try to dump on people that are making these mods, but like, you know, eventually that should be a goal of the community, is to have and Bob does that to some extent, as far as like, is this the correct chip to you, or correct scalar chip or something, like he does with the like he kind of dissected that Intech Gaming Game Boy Advance consolizer thing that was using the wrong chip or something. Thanks, Pablo. I just think that there could be a lot more content, technical. People probably would watch deep dives about, okay, how does this console actually work, and how does this mod work with this console, like technically, like from the ground up. Okay, like here's the hardware on the mod chip or on the PCB. Here's why the parts were selected the way they were, and how they interface with that particular console. And I really do feel like that would make good content for a certain amount of people. So just thoughts out there. If anybody's interested in making content and they know that stuff to a technical level, I do feel like that would fit somewhere. And it would be great for preservation in the future. I mean, imagine that. Imagine having this is guy Ben Eater that makes this 8-bit breadboard computer, and he goes in these like deep dive hour-long videos about how each part works technically and stuff. So streams get saved so we can live stream the mods and then play. Yeah. Well, I do one of the reasons, Ariel, that I wanted to edit my videos instead of live stream them when I started was because I felt like Voltar's live streams were too long for the content, right? So like, he would do a bunch of NES RGB mods, which is great content, right? It was really good. He treats that, like, I generally think he cares a lot about demonstrating the proper techniques and things, and he probably does a ton of those installs, so he knows the little tips and tricks and things. But then he didn't always edit them down, which that's why I wanted to edit them, and that's why I do the people will call them what's the word when you hard cutting, or I don't know, whenever you cut from one clip directly to the next clip and basically take out all the dead space. That's what I do because of that. All right, just like cut as much of the dead air as possible, as long as it makes sense still. You know, sometimes I can't use segments of my videos and I have to like cut them together so it kind of sounds awkward, but more YouTubers do that than you realize. I'm sure if you go through the YouTubers that you like and enjoy, and if they're of any significant mass, they probably have that. They probably do that where they cut every little thing out. So anyway, so I guess, yeah, jump cut. I don't know why I thought about that. Yeah, streams are too long, and that's why I think I may still edit these streams like into smaller segments. I might do that. I don't really have a problem with editing per se. It's really, I tried my hand recently about writing scripts so that it's like, okay, here's a thought, here's another thought, here's another thought. I don't want to miss any of this stuff. Actually, the straw that kind of broke the camel's back, and what we're going to talk about tonight, was I rewrote the script for the Project Stellar video probably 4 or 5 times, and I haven't really filmed it yet. I filmed the install, but I haven't filmed the content. So it didn't feel right. I know that for me, or at least in this space, I think scripting things is the way forward as far as like having truly good content. Like, it's not just off the top of my head, where the retro modding news was off the top of my head, because I'm kind of comfortable with what's come out, what's going to come out, kind of compare, like, what can you compare this thing for, and what's it kind of useful for, who it's useful for. I was okay at that. Maybe not perfect, but I was okay with that with the retro modding news stuff. But for what I feel would be worthy of going forward, make videos going forward, would be to do that, to actually have a point. And that's kind of like the downside to YouTube, is to try to play the algorithm, right? Like, I was thinking of making like, okay, Project Stellar is awesome, but why do we need another Xbox mod chip was probably going to be the title for my Project Stellar video, because that might be something that you might think about, is why do we need another mod chip when we just have OpenZenium? So we'll talk about that. Yeah, well, so I talked with Dustin, or Bob doesn't really do the tutorial videos anymore because of Tito, because he just can't compete, and not necessarily that they need to compete, but Tito does such a good job with making his videos that it's really not necessary for anyone else to do that little part, and that little part being not a little part, but the part that Tito does well, which is like an overview of the mod, an installation overview. Maybe not, it's not as detailed as mine is, like every little minute step, right? His is well edited together, and then just a couple of features about how to use it. That's kind of like my videos, and I just I'm never going to get to that point where mine's better than his. Whereas I don't necessarily know if he reviews them as well as I would like, or have an idea about, being more like other YouTubers. I just don't feel like that's happening, and I tried it, and I just don't feel like I can accomplish that. So it's a lot of things. It's not having free time for my family, not having time to do mods really anymore outside. Like, basically I would try to save any mods that I would buy. I would try to save them for a video, but that means I have mods that are a year old or more, just sitting and waiting to be done. And I just want to do them. I just want to do it, and I can't bring myself to do them without. And then the last thing is kind of like play the game. Everybody always touts, to play the game. They're retro mods to play the game, but I just didn't have the time. So I know this is a long story short, but it's not necessarily about Ariel. It's not really about min-maxing those kind of things. It's just even if I had a template, which I kind of had one, right? It's still a lot of work, more than I have right now. Maybe in the future. Yeah, it's that's a possibility. Gerardo, I just have a hatred for YouTube Shorts and what that has done to this concept of content. I think a lot of people don't like content, the idea content, and I like content, right? Because it's like entertaining when I have free time or whatever. I can watch someone go into a huge rant about some random thing. It's like a TV replacement, like a TV, like Netflix replacement. That's what I think of when I think of YouTube. And then just Shorts is just people coming up with ideas to make the most attractive video possible. And that's like even worse than the, hey, okay, we have to make this video to appeal to the algorithm, right? So the idea has to be a certain way, the title, the thumbnail has to be a certain way. Even before you even think about making the video, you really have to think about the title and thumbnail first and work backwards from there. And Shorts are even worse. So I just don't like Shorts. I think they probably could help my channel grow, but that's sort of beside the point, right? It's not necessarily about growth. I think I'm okay, and I feel like people in the community respect my opinion, right? That was something that I've gotten recently. So it's not necessarily about Shorts or about trying to gain popularity. Yeah, YouTube Shorts kill comprehensiveness. Yeah, I do understand that, have a little short and then have it go to another video, but I think in general, YouTube is in control of the levers, right? What's popular and what's not popular. And while that doesn't necessarily matter to me, because if you look at like someone like Modsville USA, that guy just does what he wants, and then he just makes the content and sends it out there. And like that's a quality that I wish I had, that I could just not care about. Not to say it, not in a bad way, not like he's making bad content, but like he just, whatever he's doing or working on or thinking about, that day or that week or something, he makes the video and he moves on. I have a hard time now that I know that I have to try harder. As soon as I knew that I wanted to script things, whatever, it was kind of like all the fun was, it was all over for me. Even if it meant that people would have better videos, as far as like, okay, I guess we'll go to Project Stellar. We'll transition to Project Stellar because I think there is a lot of information there, and I wanted to make a video about it, but that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I guess I don't really have anything against shorts. Just looking at the chat, but it's just not for me. And I already have a bunch of other crap to do. I just can't. So, and I don't have time really to hire somebody to make it. So that, I guess, hopefully that will transition a little bit to Project Stellar and Stellar Xbox HD Plus. That's what I wanted to talk about. So I think what I would like to do, yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I think that I do, Gerardo, I do feel like that there could be a one idea that I've had is to go back and talk about the different types of analog video. I know that we're kind of transitioning over to the digital in general, just HDMI output, but a little short, like, okay, what are the differences between composite, component, S-video, and RGB? Like, what are those? How do those relate, and how are they different? Just stuff like that, or like what the voltages are of all those signals, right? Like if you took an oscilloscope, that's one thing I wanted to do. Actually, I bought a freaking $500 oscilloscope up here. It's a Rigel, or no, it's a Siglent. I bought a freaking 4-channel oscilloscope up here, and I've never used it. I've never turned it on. Hey Bonzo. An AI tool. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know about that. So I do feel like there could be a big market. It's a weird way to think about it, but like people might like to learn about the analog signals, and that's if you watch my Extron auto switcher video. I have a little snippet in the beginning of there about how the analog signals relate to each other and how they could be used for that, or how they relate, I guess. So I'm not removing any of them. No, everything is staying there, and I guess I'm not promising that I'll never make another video. And what I would like to do is I would like to try to edit these live stream VODs down, maybe. So like each topic, so like maybe I'll make a little tiny VOD, or make a little tiny video of this segment where I was talking about how I'm not making videos anymore, or maybe I'll make a little thing about Project Stellar. But I think overall it's more important for me right now to try to get through some more mods, because I bought all these freaking things and I have them, and I it's literally been like years that I've been able to freely do a mod without feeling like, I mean, no one's like pressuring me to do mods on camera. I put the pressure on myself. I feel like I just have to, if I'm not filming doing a mod, I feel like it's a waste of my time, and that's a me thing. I did that to myself, and I don't like that. I feel bad if I do something off screen, which I kind of have done. I bought 2 of these though. This is actually the 4 adapter, Timville. If you know, I made a video about the triple controller, which is just a little, it'll eventually be a USB. It's a project from Tindy. It's a little USB to, or like controller, so like Super Nintendo, NES. This one has N64 and the Genesis. So like original controller to USB. So this is good for like the Mister. They made the triple controller, which just had the Super Nintendo, the NES, and the Genesis, but now the 4 adapter has N64 too. So I don't know. Maybe I can live stream building the second one I have of this. And actually, for all of you who are wondering, this is the first time I've ever successfully 3D printed in ASA. So this is ASA filament. I have my Voron is capable of printing high temp ish filaments, and so this is it's similar to ABS, except for it's supposed to be like the next ABS. I think they use this a lot in car plastics because it is really resistant to UV and high temperature. So it doesn't melt like PLA might if you left it in a hot car or something. So I don't know. I'm not really looking for anything per se. I just want some time to be with my family and kind of unpack my own thoughts about what I've done with the channel. And I figured I actually really enjoyed, even though maybe it wasn't as impactful, I made a series of live streams about the Open Tendo where I soldered that. There was like 8 or 9 videos or something. I enjoyed doing that, and I liked being able to do the mods and talk to people at the same time. It's like that's not something that I have the luxury. I don't have anybody really locally to me that I can talk about modding, and I kind of feel like when I'm streaming, I'm talking to people that are into modding. So kind of that's really neat. Haven't done ABS on my Voron. Now, how did you make the parts then? Did you do the print it forward to get the parts, Sean? Yeah, I bought the LDO kit, and it came with the Nevermore. So I have a Nevermore, although it doesn't 100% eliminate the what is it called? The VOCs. I could definitely smell it in my basement even with the Nevermore. So you probably, if you're gonna print ABS, in addition to the Nevermore, you probably should have what is this called? Air purifier, or just don't go in that room until the next day or something. Let it cool down and let it. You had a Bamboo. Oh, okay. I kind of wish I bought the Bamboo Labs printer because that came out right at the same time that I bought my Voron. Although I kind of feel like I have more problem with printing high temp things because I know this isn't Xbox related, but when you start printing stuff beyond PLA or maybe like PETG, stuff that requires you to have an enclosure like ABS, stuff that requires you, basically just to have an enclosure. When you print with a Voron with an enclosure at high temperature, you literally need to, if I want to print high temperature my Voron, I need to get, like, let's say in the beginning of the day, I have to, it's called heat soaking. I need to say, okay, go to 80 degrees Celsius first on the bed. Then as soon as it prints goes to 80, then I say, okay, go to 110 degrees. And then I have this little macro that says, okay, hold it at 110 degrees for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or something till I get the enclosure to over 50 Celsius. And then, because what's happening is all the aluminum parts and all the steel bolts and everything is really, it's expanding and it's changing dimensions, and everything about it changes dimensions. And that's why with a Voron, it's nice to have, I have this Auto Z script. So if you don't know anything about 3D printers, old school 3D printers, they never had these bed sensors that were like these depth, like they can tell the printer itself, okay, here's where the actual bed is down to the 10,000th of a millimeter. They're that accurate. They need to be that accurate, or else you might get a bad print. So in the very beginning, you might try to manually level it with these screws or whatever, but that kind of, over time, the springs might wear out and it changes. But with an automatic, even if you have a bed leveling system, you still don't know the distance between the nozzle and the bed. You might know the tool head, which is the actual extruder, but you don't know exactly where the bottom of the nozzle is compared to where the bed is. So somebody made this macro where you can use this probe. I have a Euclid probe, so you can use this it's a little micro switch essentially. You use the probe to tell, okay, here's the nozzle going down to this end stop, and then it will go and it'll see how far down the probe is to the Z end stop. So you know the distance between, literally you know the distance between the nozzle and the bottom of the probe, and then you can do a probe on the bed. So that will give you the exact measurement every time of where your nozzle is compared to the bed. So that changes depending on the temperature. So every time you change a new filament, even colors of filament are different. So it's just a lot, and that's why the Bamboo Labs thing, it's very innovative, where they reduce the amount of manual labor that you need to do to actually run a nice print. So I think if you're looking for a high-end printer, I think the Bamboo Lab versus a Voron. But you know, I hope that makes sense. That's kind of a tangent, but okay. All right, so let's talk about Xbox. I know. Here's a capture. Okay, so this is all this content that I wanted to include in my Project Stellar video, but I wasn't 100% able to articulate it in a good way. Well, actually, the most recent iteration of the nozzle probe thing with Vorons is this thing called tap. Tap actually puts a linear rail, so your extruder, the tool head they call it, which is the entire body of the extruder and the direct drive, everything is one unit. They put it on a slider, and then it has a little tiny optical sensor. So it's not a physical switch anymore, it's an optical sensor, which is impervious. I don't know. It doesn't fluctuate with heat in the same way that a micro switch might fluctuate. So the tap is basically saying, okay, this is literally, here's the bottom of the tool head. Every time that it goes down, it stops right when the nozzle bottoms out on the bed. So that's like the most accurate way that you can do probing with the Voron. So yes, yeah. So that's just why they well, you know what's interesting is if you stick with PLA with the Voron too, it's completely different beast. It's like it doesn't need as much time. Like you're not thermal, it doesn't expand as much, obviously, because your temperatures are way lower. But it's a very interesting subject, and that is something that I never really got into in my channel, and I wish that I had made some kind of a video, not on the Voron, because I think that's very deep. I think if I had done it better, I probably should have bought a Prusa Mini and made content about a Prusa Mini, because I think that was a pretty affordable printer at the time, and everybody who is into retro, you should have a 3D printer. It pays for itself so quickly, and the more modern ones, they're not super complicated to set up. So yeah, I don't know. That's just, I wish I had done some content about 3D printing, because it's very, resin printer. Yeah, that's another thing I would love to have too, is a resin printer. Okay, so let's talk about Project Stellar and Stellar Xbox HD Plus. So right away, I could say, I asked Dustin, because I guess I didn't want to take footage and prove that it was true, that there is no video output difference between Stellar Xbox HD Plus and Xbox HD Plus V1. So V1 and V2, there are no output differences at all. Now, that's not to say that there aren't little differences. Like obviously the Stellar Xbox HD Plus is a little bit easier to install. There's less wiring, and I don't really know if Dustin is still here. Is there any benefit to moving? I know that some of the processing was moved from the Xbox HD Plus mod itself onto Project Stellar. Probably the RP2040 CPU was doing that processing instead. I'm not really sure where it's done, but is there any improvement that happens there, or is it just kind of like, I don't know. I'm just curious about that. I don't think there's any visual differences between them. So I really wasn't going to make the video about the video output of Like, this is not a visual upgrade from if you have a V1 Xbox HD Plus and like OpenZenium or something, and Project Stellar and Stellar Xbox HD Plus. So the main point is Project Stellar is really where the innovation is happening with Project Stellar and the new stuff. Okay, thanks, Dustin. So let's talk about so then what is the difference between, and this is my I I hope I'm not an Xbox expert, although I guess at this point I kind of know a lot. It's not like I don't know anything. So what's the difference then between OpenZenium and Stellar, Project Stellar? OpenZenium, I guess, is a more traditional mod chip where you could put any BIOS that you want on it. I think that's true. I don't think there's a limit of, I mean, obviously there's a limit for number of BIOSes that you can store, but I don't think there's like a certain BIOS that is not compatible, with the exception of Stellar OS, which is the BIOS that Dustin wrote for Project Stellar. Now, if anyone watched Modsville's video about Project Stellar, Modsville was pretty negative about Project Stellar. And I think the main reason he was negative is because when Dustin announced Project Stellar, he had this laundry list of items that he envisioned were possible with Project Stellar. And that was where the whole beta thing came from. Like, it was going to be beta until like February, but then mods didn't end up shipping until April. And I hope this doesn't come across as negative, Dustin. I'm not trying to be negative. Hey, Red Herring. Can't boot Cromwell or XBlast. Is XBlast a BIOS though? Okay, yes, I talked to Dustin, and Dustin did say that the XBlast OS or whatever it's called is a BIOS technically. Interesting. So Modsville was upset that the features, so specifically the features that Modsville was upset about was it didn't have ISO or compressed ISO loading, and there were some bugs because he had an Xbox that had the higher end CPU modded in. You can get like a 1 gigahertz or something CPU, upgrade the CPU, and Project Stellar has, and I think it did have, when Modsville made his video, it did have the ability to improve performance. Like, I guess some games ran really fast or something. There were some bugs with the CPU if you had the upgraded CPU. And so Stellar actually fixed those things. Whatever you say is probably fair. Okay, I can lie. Sweet. No, I'm just kidding. So that was the essential part. Actually, no, there's two. So the first part, I think, is there were these features, the ISO loading and the compressed ISO loading, that Project Stellar didn't have yet or Stellar OS, I guess I should say, more specifically Stellar OS, because Project Stellar is just the mod itself. So the hardware has been there the whole time. It's really Stellar OS that didn't have those features. And then recently, about a month ago, Dustin added the features where you can load compressed ISO and normal ISO. So we'll get back to that. Yeah, I just right. I guess I kind of wish that you had and probably still call it a beta. I don't think it's harmful to call things a beta. That's just my thoughts, and then you could get away with things not working 100% until, I don't know, indefinitely, because that's what people do on Steam all the time. Early access until for 30-40 years or whatever the hell, who cares. But so the other thing that Modsville didn't like is that with Project Stellar, and this was actually an advertised feature that still now doesn't work, and I'm not sure if Dustin is still, I'm not sure if it's ever going to happen or if it's going to happen soon, and that was for having Project Stellar boot legacy BIOSes. And by legacy BIOSes, that's all the other traditional BIOSes, so Sir BIOS and everything, anything, MA, any other type of BIOS. So basically, you're only limited to Stellar OS if you have a Project Stellar. Not only that, if you buy a Project Stellar specifically for the HDMI mod, now you have no choice but to run Stellar OS and Project Stellar. Yeah, right. I kind of agree, Sean. It's, I guess I don't know. Did you have that feature? Did you have ISO loading and compressed ISO loading working, and then you just had a bug with it so that it wasn't released right away? That it's just a nitpick. I don't really think. Hi, Joe T. Thanks. Yeah, Joe T. You missed the beginning, or maybe you missed the beginning, but I want to maybe try to edit these together. Edit like quick little snippets of this and put it on as videos. So anyway, so those are the two parts. One, all the features weren't there when the Project Stellar stuff started shipping to people. So like, what is it, like April or May or something was when they started shipping to people. Not all the features were there, and you're also sort of locked into Stellar OS. You really have no option, and I'm not sure if it's going to change. I'm not sure, and I don't personally. I would rather Dustin spend the time to make Stellar OS really good, so that people don't have to use a different BIOS. But obviously, people that are into Xbox like options. If another BIOS comes around and it supports 8K, or I don't know, that's a stupid thing for it to support, but any other weird feature or something, people can't. Basically, you're dedicating an entire Xbox to Project Stellar and Stellar HD Plus, or Xbox HD Plus. So that's sort of the bad. Those are the bad negative things, and that was what I was going to try to talk about in the intro to my video. Then I wanted to talk about the positives, which, well, okay, I wanted to do comparisons, I guess, not positives, but comparisons between it was comparisons between analog and the digital output, which again is not really going to be different than Xbox HD Plus, but I never really did a comparison video or comparisons in my Xbox HD Plus video. I just did the install, basically. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think you should have told people that, Dustin. I mean, obviously there are some people that are just going to be on the Dustin hate bandwagon, and there's nothing you could do about that. But the people that do care and are interested in you and your mods, like, that would have been nice. But yeah, so the rest of the video was going to essentially be a comparison between Project Stellar, or Stellar OS essentially, and SurBIOS. There's another caveat. We're going to take a step back and we're going to talk about legal BIOSes. So this is a giant aspect of Stellar OS that is hugely underrated, or hugely not talked about that much. Dustin was telling me that while the Xbox was still in development, the actual Xbox, not like a mod recently, but like this must have been around like 2005 or something, an older retail Xbox, like a pre-release BIOS, the source code was leaked. So for years now, people have access to this, and it's proprietary, which means that if you wanted to use that it's sort of like the IBM BIOS thing. If you wanted to make an IBM clone computer, you cannot use IBM source code to make the BIOS. You have to do it. Basically, you have to re-implement a BIOS to make an IBM computer. I think that's a good comparison between what's happening with legal BIOSes and not legal BIOSes. So, on one hand, there's a bunch of projects. I think the way that Dustin phrased it is like the majority of Xbox BIOSes are using the proprietary source code, and not very many of them you don't do that. So like the reason Dustin chose M8 or M8 Plus when doing Xbox HDMI and Xbox HD Plus V1 was because that was one of the only other legal BIOSes. The Direct Xbox, yes. There's a Dustin hate train. Right, I know, it's sad that there is one, but So there are a bunch of projects that use the proprietary source code, and I don't necessarily know if I dislike that. I think that I'm not going to say that I support piracy, but I think that people are familiar with piracy if you're in retro. I guess I'll leave it at that. So it's kind of hypocritical in a way to say, oh, I like this project but not this project because it's proprietary or it uses proprietary information. Now, with that being said, Dustin, it's a different story when you sell things. Dustin wanted to sell his sell Project Stellar, right? And to make it work, right? So in order for him to sell it, he had no choice but to make his own BIOS. Well, I guess you could have still used M8 Plus, right? Because that was a legal BIOS. But obviously, I think you want to be in ultimate control over the direction of the BIOS, right? So that's the reason he made his own instead of reused the M8 Plus. But then I found out in order to make a legal BIOS, what Dustin had to do is, so he obtained in theory, Dustin got a retail Xbox that was on the latest retail Xbox BIOS, and then ripped that. So he had a physical Xbox that came with the BIOS that he implemented his patches from. So what Dustin had to do is he took the binaries, which is what happens after you compile source code. So essentially, and I don't necessarily know how it's different to use Siri. What? No, shut up. I don't know how it's that different using compiled code versus the source code, but Dustin went through the compiled code, the machine code, the assembly language code, and for every line or every aspect of this machine code, he had to write documentation for himself about what every single line essentially did, every function, every variable, every method, everything, every single piece. He had to understand what did what, memory locations, how all the systems work. And I'm sure I'm oversimplifying that, but that was step one, was to actually find out how the BIOS works. Then step two is to figure out how you can actually manually edit the binary, which is that's not simple. That's not something that people do, right? If somebody wants to alter a program and they don't care about legality, you might decompile something, which is when you take a binary and you put it back into the human readable source code. So that's where the difference is. Human readable, that's what programmers actually write, is source code, and then it gets compiled into binary code that the computer can read. Well, Sean, so that was, Dustin can't give you here. He can't say here's Stellar OS. Here's a copy of Stellar OS. He can't do that. He will never be able to do that. He can only say, if you obtain a legal retail BIOS of this version, I can automatically patch it for you, given and that's one of the things that Project Stellar does. Reverse engineering from a legally obtained piece of hardware from interoperability was ruled to be legal. Okay, so there's some legal Sega versus Accolade. So there's some legal standing that you can look at compiled code, and from there you can tweak it without needing the source code, and that's legal. So thanks, Forever Winner. Yeah, that was my goal, is to just turn over all the stones of all the cool projects that are out there. So yes, so that's enough talking about legal versus illegal, or legal versus not legal. But that is one of the true innovations that Project Stellar and Stellar OS does. It is a legal BIOS that Dustin can then manipulate to work specifically with Project Stellar. And so that's kind of where the innovation starts. It starts there, is having a complete understanding of how the Xbox BIOS works. and that way you can mess with it. That was the first innovation that I thought was cool. Second thing that's interesting is projects, the LPC port. And I guess Dustin was telling me that the LPC port is kind of like a really old PCIe bus. Essentially, you can it's like a memory addressable, like the Xbox can reach into the LPC, like it has a memory location, so it can say, hey LPC, I don't know what's here, but do some things, and then like the Xbox can pull resources from it. It's kind of like a graphics card, but not really. Like it's like a sound card, like anything that you could put into a PCI slot. Imagine that. Like that's what the LPC port. I don't necessarily know if Microsoft intended the LPC port to be usable in that way. Maybe they had some internal Microsoft tools that use the LPC, or maybe it was used for programming the BIOS or something originally, or something. I'm not really sure the origins of the LPC on the Xbox, but I don't think that there are any other Xbox projects that use the LPC port the way that Project Stellar does. And I don't know as much about this part, but I do know that Dustin was saying that the Project Stellar mod can give the Xbox 2 megabytes of SD RAM or something. So it can actually give the Xbox more RAM, which I guess equates to less resource utilization by any mods that you put on there. He was explaining actually Halo 2 or Halo 1 uses so much of the Xbox's system memory that it becomes hard to do anything on top of that, software modding wise. So Project Stellar can give memory to the Xbox, among other things. I guess it can give the RP2040 cores, the ARM cores. The Xbox gets access to that too. I'm not exactly sure how that works. Maybe it's used for the compressed ISO, like uncompressing the compressed ISO. Maybe, I'm not really sure. If Dustin's still here and might be able to say a sentence or two about that, that'd be interesting. So, and the amount of other IO that's on Project Stellar. So it has like 4 other currently really unused expansion ports. The Sega Chihiro, I don't know how to pronounce that, uses the LPC for the additional hardware. Okay, so there is some stuff floating around there that possibly could be shoved into an original Xbox. That's interesting. In the future. So yeah, it opens the Xbox up to that. So yeah, there's stuff like you can add addressable RGB lights. There's still the front panel header that is going to come. Like that's all stuff that we knew about already. Then there's stuff that we don't know about yet that is still to come possibly. So while on one hand, don't get your hopes up with speed, right? Because obviously we had Dustin has already run into some issues running or developing the features that he mentioned when he really announced the mod. So, and that's not a negative. That's just saying that this is an incredible amount of work, and he's at a disadvantage developing Stellar OS compared to a project like SirBIOS, which is another popular mod. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sure I'm missing a few things there, but I would just say that the Stellar mod, this is only the beginning of Stellar. It's unfortunate the way that it was launched, I would say, but I think that the people that really bought in to Project Stellar and Xbox HD Plus kind of understand that hopefully things will go into a better direction and we'll actually have some really cool additional stuff that is only possible on Stellar. So the other thing I wanted to do comparison. So yeah, the rest of the video, my video was going to be, I'm talking about the video that that's the most recent video that I've been working on is the Project Stellar video, but I ended up rewriting it a bunch. So I wanted to do comparisons between, I have 2 1.6 Xboxes. One has Project Stellar and Xbox HD Plus V1. Right, so there's no real differences. It was already installed because that was my OpenZenium Xbox. And then I got another 1.6 Xbox that is going to stay analog for now. well, obviously it has to stay analog because I can't use another BIOS. I can't use Sir BIOS with Xbox HD Plus, possibly ever. I'm not sure if other BIOSes will ever support Xbox HD Plus. But that was my setup, was to have two different Xboxes and then run through kind of some of the features and the performance of these features. So the feature, well, analog is not really a feature, but it really just to show off digital compared to analog. And I don't have that set up for you now. I have the other Xbox. See, the output, the analog output is bad. It's very bad with 1.6. It's like, I don't know if it's my Xbox or if this is most Xboxes. And then I've heard, I heard a rumor that like older Xboxes actually had better video output because they use different encoders. And then someone else told me that that's not true, and like all analog Xboxes have the same quality output. So like getting a bunch of different Xboxes from different generations and doing side by sides of the analog video is a stupid video to make, but I think that would be really interesting to see. Even if you have something like the XO SVP, which I have, or if you have the Xbox HD AV pack, which is the official component thing, video thing, or actually I got from Fenris Wolf Retro. That's his Twitter, I guess. He gave me I bought a Porta HDMI to component adapter off of him, and so I was trying to do comparisons between the digital output from Xbox HD Plus with the digital converted to analog back to digital with the RetroTink. So, but that's, for whatever reason, I'm having not good luck with that. That's what I was going to stream in tonight. This is actually just raw video from the Xbox HD Plus as is with so I don't have analog comparisons, unfortunately. I'm gonna start playing the game. I'm gonna keep talking, but my experience with 1.6 analog has always been good. So you could be right. It could be each individual Xbox could have issues, because I booted up Xbox or XBMC for gamers, and it has this really garish blue boot up screen if you don't configure it to have a different color, and you can see crazy artifact, like crazy interference. It just looks terrible with analog, even through the RetroTink. What else is interesting too is, this is beside the point, and I hope I get back to the fact I wanted to, the last thing I wanted to do in my video was do comparisons between the two implementations of compressed ISO loading. So see ya, Ariel. Yeah. There are a couple of different file formats when it comes to Xbox for loading games. Thanks, Ariel. I appreciate it. Why is it stupid? It's stupid, Axel, because it's pointless. I guess. I just think that pretty much most analog for the original Xbox is not going to be good. And I don't know. I think Dustin mentioned something about Project Stellar being able to fix analog. If you have a Xbox HD, somehow he might be able to fix it. But I don't know. I'm waiting to see that, to see if you can actually fix the analog output. I'm having problems with my OGX 360 adapter. It sort of disconnects sometimes. And I'm gonna find the dongle. Where's my dongle? Is this the dongle? I think this is it. The problem with these 8BitDo adapters is they look the same. Ugh, I don't know what controller this is for. No, I don't think this is the right thing. No, it's definitely not. So I just wanted to compare the speeds, I guess. Because okay, so let's talk about file formats for a second. So traditionally with Xbox, like if you're gonna put games on a hard drive, so yeah, it would die after like a minute or two. It would just disconnect, which is really frustrating. So when it comes to loading games on from a hard drive on an Xbox, in the past there's HD Ready, which essentially is the XBE format. So if anybody knows, just when you have a disc, this is like the simplest way. Okay, not a disc, a DVD, I think, because if you have a CD, CDs could be different. If you have a DVD and you like burn the data that's on that disc to a file on your computer, most people think of an ISO, a .iso file, which is essentially just all the data on the disc, including the empty space. So it's literally the entire disk's worth of data. So whatever the max is for that disk that you have, like it's like 7 something gigabytes for, or is it 4 something gigabytes for DVDs, which is the Xbox. That's ISO. That's about as big as it can get. As big as the game files are is an ISO file. How people used to run games is they would extract the data from the disk, but in a way where it would be more like an executable, like a .exe. Actually, it's called a .xbe, which is this Xbox executable file. But it would break up all the parts of the data into individual files, almost like if you had it on like a flash drive or something. If you took all the data on the disk and you put it on a flash drive, like converted it to all the original files from there, put it on the flash drive, that's XBE. That's like if you install a program onto your computer, when you install the files on your computer, that's kind of like all the files associated with that program. I hope that makes some sense. 7.4. So that's the first layer, and that's what people have been using for a while, is this .xbe format. You can, otherwise known as HD Ready. I'm not gonna go into that much more, but that's the terminology that some people will understand. Like if you say that, they're talking about XBE files. So then there are, for Xbox emulators usually use something called XISO, which is essentially if you took the XBE files and you put them all on a disk. Essentially, you put them back into an ISO format. So that is, I guess it's extracted is what the X stands for. So that's kind of like the XBE files are extracted from the larger ISO file. Then you're kind of putting that back into an ISO. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's say the entire disk is 7.4 gigabytes, and then let's say your game is only 1 gigabyte worth of files, right? So when you extract it to the XBE format, you have a 1 gigabyte total number of files in that folder, and then when you put it back to an ISO, an XISO, that is a 1 gigabyte XISO. So it's an ISO format, a .iso, but they call it an XISO because it's only the extracted files and none of the empty space on the disk. I hope this is not too much information, but I think it's helpful. So that's kind of like a weird file format that I'm not sure. You pretty much Xbox emulators on the computer will use that file format, and you can pretty much switch back and forth between XBE format and XISO format at will without really losing anything, right? So it's not compressing anything. It's just converting two file formats back and forth. Then more recently is this. So that was the ISO loading portion of Stellar, was to be able to run not just .iso files, but probably also extracted ISOs. So it has nothing to do with compression. It's just making the files smaller, a little bit smaller, extracting all the blank space away, stripping it. I don't. There's a technical term, but yeah. Then more recently, SurBIOS implemented, and Stellar OS now has this compressed ISO. XISO is the same concept as other consoles use. Others call it scrubbed. Okay, interesting. the compressed ISO is then taking any ISO file. It doesn't even have to be. You can compress a full fat ISO if you wanted to, which is pointless because you don't get the benefits of the smaller compression. But you can compress a. Typically, you would probably want to do an extracted ISO and compress that. So you could take this already smaller ISO file and then make it even smaller by a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's really that much space savings, maybe 10%. I'm not sure. Dustin might know exactly like the average percentage, but just to save some space. So that it's not a huge feature if you're already to the point where you can run XBEs. You can run the extracted ISOs, but then just the compressed versions of those just gives you a little bit more space savings versus full fat ISOs for everything. So that's a lot of information. I probably would have done a better job in a video explaining it, but that's the terminology. And I just wanted to do a performance difference between SirBIOS, which is a other popular BIOS that has this compressed ISO loading feature, and Project Stellar. In the beginning, I was running into issues with Project Stellar compressed ISO loading where it would take a while for games to load. For whatever reason, that issue kind of went away. I was noticing it in Halo 2. Like the loading screen would take a long time, but then it kind of stopped. So I don't know if there's like a cache or a buffer or something that fills up. It depends heavily on the game. Yeah. So yeah, across, let's say if your goal was to have the entire Xbox library on your hard drive, then that adds up a lot, obviously. So, yeah. All right, so I want to play Xbox. I know I waited, and I don't know where my dongle is to use my OGX 360, but it was giving me troubles anyway, so I don't know what to do about that. But let's I have this save. I hope this is not a this is not a spoiler for anyone. But I'm gonna play my I'm on the second level, and I have it so that I can. Oh, wait. So let's do this. I have to put my second monitor on. My setup in here is crazy. Oh, by the way, I bought an LG OLED. So that is my 42-inch LG C2. So I did get one. If I'm going to stream more where I'm going to be playing games, I would like to have a stream set up on the other side of my room. So like a camera over there as well. Just makes it all really difficult. But right now it's outputting here, but then I have this complicated there it is, down somewhere. I have this complicated HDMI situation where I have splitters going, and it goes down across my room and then up here and then into my capture card and on this second screen. So right now it's powering two screens, and yeah, okay. Well, this is actually Halo 1, so I wanted to play. It's been a long time since I played Halo 1. Get out of here. My cat wants me to. My cat likes being slapped. And then I can turn the audio up. Okay. Whoa, this is loud. Let me know if this is loud. Okay, let's go. So, anyway, so I hope that's what I wanted to talk about in a video, but as you can see, it's kind of difficult to talk about because I need this health pack here. It's kind of difficult to talk about because there's a lot of concepts that it doesn't fit easily into like a even like a 10-minute video or something. It doesn't make great content. Well, it does. I feel like some people care, they want to hear about it, but it's hard to make it sound interesting, and like, I don't know. Stop touching me. She's scratching me. Stop it. You need to go away, cat, if you're gonna scratch me. Okay, sorry. My mouse. Okay. Okay, let's go drive the warthog. Yeehaw. So in the beginting I had no problems with the Porta, the HDMI to component adapter, and then upscaling that with the RetroTink. But I had some problems before the stream here where luckily I started it up, otherwise I would have
There's some Marines hiding in the hills above the
otherwise I would have not been able to play this, but yeah, it just wouldn't sync. Maybe it's my giant menagerie of HDMI things, HDMI switches and stuff, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I guess I wait. Stop scratching me!
I'll call in a drop ship to pick them up.
I think I have to wait here. Is the volume high or low or anything? Be gone, cat. Okay. Oh God, I ran over my. Yeah, it'd be helpful at a time like this to have a wireless controller for the original Xbox.
Back me up.
Oh God. I'm trying to play behind my back with the controller, not behind my back, but you know.
Who's the man? I hope you brought some butter. You're about to get
Oh man,
fried.
just the. It's kind of weird playing these old consoles again, and like the lag, like, just lots of lag, not good performance.
They're everywhere. You can't hide from me. Do it now.
Killing grunts with my warthog.
Oh yeah!
If anybody have any questions, feel free to
How'd that feel?
ask me questions. If you have any questions about other mods or about Xbox or something that you would like me to. Yeah, the Slim. That's something that I'm surprised that even Tito hasn't covered yet. I know the project, the Xbox Slim and Mini are still in progress now, but it's badass. Like, who wouldn't want a smaller Xbox with the same functionality?
And another near the cliff edge. Hard to see from my altitude, but it looks like there are more survivors.
Whoa, what was that?
Acknowledged. We're on our way.
Okay. What do I do now? Okay, so these guys are gone. When are you gonna trim an Xbox board? Yeah, I don't know about that. Even the Ashita was a lot of work. I mean, I think I probably would have liked to stream the Ashita, like me working on the Ashita, but what do I do now? Halo? What the heck? Here, maybe? It was just a lot of effort on the front end just to figure out how it actually works, the Ashita, or how to put the Ashita together. Follow the pine trees. I think we're going the right way. The tunnel. Up the mountain and over the bridge, in between the red and green apple trees. That's from Dora the Explorer.
Survivors detected. Marines are concealed in those rocks.
I think I might need to get out of my my warthog here.
Got it.
Or is there another way to get in these
Hey,
rocks?
good one. I found him.
All right, everybody out. I learned, if you guys want to watch something interesting, there's that FPS documentary about the history of FPS games. It's like 4 hours long. It's pretty good. I think it's worth you have to pay for it. It's like $17 or something like that. But I think it's worth it. But there's a part in it where they talk about Halo, and right before the game went gold, before they started making the discs, somebody changed the pistol code so that in multiplayer it did 3 times as much damage that it did in single player. So that is the reason, if you've ever played multiplayer Halo 1, that's the reason why Halo 1's pistol does so much damage, is that someone messed around with that right before the Xbox or the Halo 1 came out. And that was kind of in a time right before Xbox Live and patching games is a thing. So Oh man, I spent a lot of time playing Halo 2 in high school. Xbox Live. I guess that dates myself about when I was in high school. The most popular game to play, I think, was probably Halo 2 on Xbox Live. Maybe Call of Duty on a 360. Modern Warfare, maybe. That was another popular game. But that was right after I think I graduated. I don't know. What do you guys like playing games? Like, I know this is sort of a weird crossover. It's not normal for. I don't know if very many people actually play game. Oh, I guess My Life in Gaming does. They play a lot of games. That's the kind of vibe that I was going for. And that's, if you're curious why Bonzo occasionally joins me. Oh, that was before I forget, I do want to say that I still will try to do modding news as its own stream. So like my goal is maybe to stream twice a week. Now, even that might be a lot, but one of them will be like either gaming, or I do want to do console mods. So I want to try to set up where I can stream from my bench and solder stuff, work on projects that I haven't been able to work on yet, and play games, but then also still talk about mods and stuff. Because overwhelmingly, people have said that you know, they like the news stuff, I think, the most. Maybe not the most, but it's helpful for them.
Echo 419 to Cortana. Foehammer's on station.
On the Xbox Portable, yeah, that's interesting.
Affirmative, Foehammer. We're ready for
I've been
dust-off.
seeing your. I don't want to get the pistol or
We're
the
going to look for
sniper
the last
rifle here.
lifeboat, Echo 419. Good luck.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I do still have your Tiny Tendo. Maybe I'll stream that. That's not something that's easy to do. The chip trimming is not something that's easy to do, but it's necessary to build a Tiny Tendo. But yeah, I have nothing against working on those projects. I think they're really cool. Get to the backlog of mods. 100% Burnout 3. Yeah, that's a fun game. My son really likes. You guys don't know how difficult it is to get young kids to play old games. I mean, I'm sure some people do, some kids do, but my son wants nothing to do with it. He likes to play computer games. He really likes, or he has played a bunch of Minecraft. He's played a bunch of this game, BeamNG, which is like it's kind of like a sandbox driving simulator game. It's not necessarily like a strict racing simulator, but he loves to mess around with that game because the physics are so fun. I think I might be going the wrong way, but he loves to play that. I mean, he's been playing this game called Marble World, which is like a marble run simulation. I guess I have to go up there still.
Warning. I picked up reports that the Covenant
Oh.
has located and secured the Pillar of Autumn's crash site.
Cortana, tell me.
The good news is the captain is still alive. The bad news is that the Covenant have captured the entire surviving command crew. Let's hurry and find the final lifeboat so we can link up with the rest of the survivors.
It sounds like Cortana is reading off a script. the voice actor. The final, I don't know, up there. There's gotta be another way. See, that was the problem in this original Xbox Halo. Is that it was kind of confusing in the early levels. Over here, or is there something else? Yes, not sure if this is the way I'm supposed to go. How did that one-shot me? What? Okay. I don't know how I died there, but alright, I had full health. Oh, I think I have to come back out? Is that what it's telling me?
Warning. I picked up reports that the Covenant has located and secured the
Claim the
Pillar
good
of Autumn's
remasters.
trash site.
Yeah. Yeah,
Good
that's
news is
true.
Captain's still alive.
Spyro is okay.
Bad news is that the Covenant have captured the entire surviving
Yeah,
command.
I don't really love
Let's hurry and find the final life
older
so we can link up
retro
with the rest
games,
of the
like some of them.
survivors.
Like I do want to play. I do want to play. Is this where I'm supposed to be? I do want to play the original Ratchet and Clank. I think I went backwards. Let's go backwards. Yeah, 'cause this is where those guys were before. It's just so hard because I have a PlayStation 5 too, and I freaking love new games, man.
Trying to get us
I guess I have to
killed?
go over there. Some of the new games, man. Like I'm not super into hard games. Like I don't have a lot of time to play games, so I can't really get into like Elden Ring and
Damn it,
stuff.
they're
Although I have
everywhere.
it,
Over here.
but
I see him.
like God of War was really good. Horizon was really good. Like I love those games so much, and it's so hard for me personally to go back and play old games. But depending on what it is, like I have big nostalgia for Super Nintendo. That was my first. Actually, no, the first console that I have a lot of nostalgia for was the Atari 2600. Even though that
Last
was
lifeboat is
probably
near the
not.
cliff edge.
That's not the generation that I was born in. Like I was the Super Nintendo sort of generation, I would say. But my dad had an Atari, so I would play Atari games. That was my first console that I played. So I have a soft spot for that. That's why I want Red Herring to make a open 2600 motherboard, because I have two Atari 2600s. That was the.
Oh yeah.
I guess I can talk a little bit about my history. I'll probably go for another half hour, maybe 45 minutes, and then I'll call it a day. But I do want to relax a little bit, play some games, and talk to you guys, because I don't have that big of an opportunity to talk about stuff. I guess just open-ended stuff. So
There's another one. There it is.
when I first started, oh god, there's a lot of guys here. Rip the gunner.
Stay on target.
The first mod that I ever did, actually, I
Maybe they took
thought
over in
that I could,
structure. Let's check it
I don't
out.
know, recap, I guess change the capacitors of my friend's Game Gear. And I ended up taking out, there's like a big, whatever the square component is that is like the magnet
Know
thing.
where that came from.
I don't know what that's called, but I thought I could desolder that, and I ripped a bunch of traces on his Game Gear motherboard. I don't think it was his childhood one, but it might have been. So I felt really guilty, and I bought him a new one. But that was like the first console that I messed up. It was also the first console I modded. So
Nice and smooth now.
the first successful mod was, I think it was actually the NES RGB was the first one that I successfully did. Which I did with a hand solder. This is before I had a
There's another one.
FR301.
Search the interior of this.
So as you can imagine, it was pretty hard. But I think that's a good way to hone your skills in the beginning, is to not use a desoldering gun and to actually use a hand pump one. Not the cheap plastic ones, but like the engineer equipment or whatever the heck
Over
the
here.
Japanese one is, or the Kaito or whatever is the one that I have been using. It's like an all metal tube. It's hard mode for sure, but it's actually a good way to hone your
Want some more?
soldering skills. So that was the first mod that I completed.
Nice shot.
And then shortly after, because I did the NES RGB, I did the Tim Worthington's N64. And this is before the YouTube channel. This was just my history of stuff that I modded. I did the N64 RGB, but I also wanted to do the Atari RGB. And for whatever reason, or not for whatever reason, just because of the age of the older Atari motherboards, the traces lift pretty easily. Because of that, I think I ruined... Did I go the wrong way? Ugh, I'm super confused right now. So I ruined 2 Atari motherboards, 2600 motherboards, and I sent them both to... I think I gotta go back over there. And then I sent them both to Red Herring, so that he might use them to make a open 2600.
Here comes more. There it is. Back me up.
And then what did I do? That was not long before I started recording everything. So Super Nintendo Junior, RGB. Did I just go around in circles? Or are these all like linked together somehow? Is there an objective? Search for the last group of survivors. Wasn't I just there? Eh. This part kind of sucks. Okay, so I went through that tunnel already once. Maybe I go this way. I see blinky flashies. Oh, up there.
Nice one. More over here. You can't hide from me.
Yay, I did it. Oh, I have no gunner. Hey, guy, get out and be my gunner.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Come on, get in. How do you do the horn?
Showtime.
Nope, none of the buttons work either. Oh, don't fall off the edge. Shoot the jackals.
Whoa.
Hey, what are you doing, cat?
Found him.
Cat just...
Up. I'm hit. We'll get you.
This was... I don't know why I did this. Don't kill me, bro. Bro.
Stay on target.
Well, this isn't unorthodox, but... Oh no, my guy. Anyways. Are there more... new enemies, so I guess I'm going the right way. This looks like the other 8 places they've already been to. Just give me a waypoint. Okay, I've definitely already been here. But then why are there new enemies over there? I think I do want to go over there. Or is it down the... Oh, it might be down the water. Down the water? It must be down here. Oh, never mind. It is the water that just goes way off the edge. Yep. Okay. Back here. Here? See the lights. I guess that means go this way. Then I got here and there's nothing. Are there dudes in here? Maybe I need to kill all the Covenant. Oh, I think this is this the part where there's guys inside?
We should search the interior
Ooh,
of
look
the
at that.
structures
Okay.
before we leave.
We did it.
I'm on it.
Hey, what's up, dudes? Hey, come here. I just want to hit you with my useless assault rifle.
You need some more ammo.
Look, enemy! More!
Alright. Maybe I gotta go up there and wipe those guys out.
Who's with me? Nobody on this side.
Got them all. Ah.
Where'd they go?
Yes. Well said.
I've called for an evac.
Back, pronto.
Plasma rifle.
Nothing
Yeah.
over here.
Yep. For the noob tube.
That's
Noob
the last
combo,
of
I mean.
Roger that. I'm on my way.
New traffic on the Covenant BattleNet. I found Captain Keyes. He's being held on a Covenant cruiser, the Truth and Reconciliation, a ship I disabled before we abandoned the Autumn. The Truth and Reconciliation touched down on a desert plateau roughly 300 kilometers upspin.
Now where do we have to go?
There's our ride. Get aboard and let's get out of here.
Oh.
Welcome aboard, Master Chief. Ready for dust off.
Stuck in some rocks with a warthog. Stuck in some rocks with a warthog. I think maybe the problem with the Porta, maybe the Porta doesn't like the 720p output. They have the 720p setting set from Project
We
Stellar.
should move out, Lieutenant.
So maybe I need
Your
to
help on a rescue mission.
to 480p. Although Bahamut Fan told me that there was this other HDMI 2 component, the HD Fury 3. So apparently this HD Fury 3 is supposed to be a really good HDMI to. Okay, this is a loading test from compressed ISOs, because these are all compressed ISOs that I have, all the games that I have on this. This is a 1 terabyte SSD. So ideally I would like to have someone make something where I can take the SSD, a 2.5-inch SSD, out of the Xbox without having to take the screws apart, because it's way quicker to transfer files directly to the SSD than it is to do it over the network.
Keys.
So
and are holding
that's
him
what I would
aboard
like
one
to
of
see,
their
is some
cruisers,
way
the
that
Truth
be able
and
to take the
Reconciliation. The ship is currently holding position approximately
SSD out.
300 meters above the other end of this plateau.
like some kind of a
How do we
dock,
get inside the ship if it's in the
something
air?
like that. I don't know.
Corps issued me a rifle, not wings.
There's a gravity lift that ferries troops and supplies between the ship and the surface. That's our ticket in.
Once we get inside the ship, I should be able to lock on to the tracking signal from Captain Key's neural implants.
Hit it, Marines! Go, go, go! The Corps ain't paying us by the hour.
Stick to the higher ground to the right. We should be able to recon the Covenant position without being spotted. I've detected Covenant stationary guns near the next pass. I recommend using your sniper rifle to take out the gunners while I call for Marine support.
Get ready to move in to support us, Sergeant. The Master Chief is going to covertly take out as many of the Covenant as he can. Don't open fire until you hear the enemy return fire on us. That should let us
What?
get the element of surprise.
Well, that's broken ass AI.
Let him have it!
Firing! Nice shot!
Alert! A Covenant is making a run for that stationary gun. Take him out!
Alert!
Free! Way to go!
One key to keep in mind with CCI versus CSO. So, CCI is the SurBIOS one, right? So SurBIOS uses the CCI format. I guess I think that's more of the method of the compression, something like that. Versus CSO, which is the nickname for the compressed ISO format for Project Stellar. So it looks like the Project Stellar compressed format has to emulate the DVD driver, whereas CCI does not, regarding loading times and performance. So that's interesting. So the Project Stellar version of the compressed ISO loading is doing more. It's at a disadvantage, I guess, right?
Stop. Motion tracker shows movement around the next bend.
We'll be ready to advance as soon as you call for us, Cortana.
The composer for these Halo games is a absolute bamf. Martin something. I used to watch the Bungie. They would have these weekly What's Updates or something where they would talk about what they're working on when Halo 2 is around. And I loved those videos. Back when Bungie was a Halo or a Microsoft enterprise. Bungie. It makes me sad the way things have gone, but what are you gonna do? Halo Infinite was it was sad. Like as in not good, not like sad, emotional. Yeah, Marty O'Donnell, right? Okay, see you later. What? Okay. I don't know what yeeted that guy, but that was funny.
Covenant forces detected up ahead. The path up on the left should let us sneak up around them.
It's hard to explain in 200 characters, but the TLDR CCI uses a blocking method that can result in better loading times. Okay, interesting. So is that something that CSO can implement, or is that a kind of not fixable thing just because of the nature of the type of algorithm or whatever, compression?
Cortana to Fire Team Charlie. The Chief has the left flank covered. Recommend you move up the middle. Cortana to Echo 419. Requesting reinforcements at our position. Roger, Cortana. Echo 419.
Stellar emulates the DVD behavior and is non-blocking. This results in gameplay that matches playing off a disk drive. Oh, okay. So it's more consistent with the original hardware to do it the way that Stellar does it. Got it. Interesting.
Alert! Covenant dropships are inbound.
Oh, also, if anybody cares, nobody asked, but I used to vape a lot, and this is day 5. Day 5 of no nicotine for me. So it's kind of a struggle. I don't know if anybody has ever struggled with nicotine addiction, smoking cigarettes or whatever, but it sucks to try to get over it. I guess I would suggest not starting if you are curious about what it's like to smoke tobacco or vape or something.
We're directly under the ship now.
All right, are we fed or what? Mother of God.
I was Googling how long it would take
How are we going to get inside that monster?
for nicotine withdrawal to go away,
Covenant use a
and it says it's about a
gravity
month.
lift to move troops and supplies
I'm on day
between the
5.
ship and the surface. We need to ambush them at the grav lift's loading zone and
It's not
use
very
the
fun.
lift to enter the ship.
And I'm doing it cold turkey too, so it's like I don't have patches or gum or anything, so I do not know how it's gonna be. Okay, what are we supposed to do? Find the grab lift? We gotta go up here. Oh yeah, we gotta go up here.
Contact! Enemy in sight!
No, my current mouth to hand habit is to realize I have nothing and freak out. So, no, I just rip it off the Band-Aid, and it's probably not the best way to handle this, but, no. I guess I'm trying to combat it by keeping busy. Well, the hard part is actually that was one of the benefits of working on videos, was that I had something to focus on. But now that I don't really have that looming over me, like the pressure to work on videos, it's like I can just relax and stuff. So Yeah, I don't know. Please don't read that. No, I understood what you were talking about. Yeah, yeah, because it's very. Yeah, I know what you mean. I would do it all day at my desk here while I was working too, and that's the worst thing. Is it's like any free time, you know, you have a thought or you type a sentence or something in your code, and then you're like, oh, I guess I got to vape now. Like I accomplished something, so let me reward that by vaping, which is a terrible reward system for your body. I'm not trying to harass people that are smokers or whatever, but that's just my mentality. I did it wrong, yeah. Well, hey, we don't judge here. It's 20XX, where we don't. Anything is possible.
Nice one!
You know, it's kind of unfortunate. I used to work at this this company that was kind of local. It's like about 15 minutes from me, and I had a bunch of friends that they all smoked cigarettes. So during lunch breaks, they would always go outside. Like it was a good way to go, you know, go outside to get some fresh air and kind of refresh during the lunch hour. And they would all smoke cigarettes. And like at first I didn't smoke, and then eventually I kind of started smoking, like just curiosity. And then I would always bum cigarettes off my coworkers, and that's how it started. And then I got a vape because I felt guilty because I was bumming cigarettes because I guess I felt that if I bought cigarettes, then that was worse. So for whatever reason, in my mind, I felt that was when I got addicted. That's when I would get addicted, is if I ever bought a pack of cigarettes. So to avoid that, I got a vape instead, which is kind of, you know, I enjoy technology and stuff. So it's kind of it's cool. Not smoking is not cool, but learning about technology is cool, I think. So vapes being a form of technology, you know, I thought it was cool. Did this guy wipe out all my friends? Now I'm screwed, huh? Wow, these needles do nothing. I use this. Enter. Wow, I did not expect that to work.
Cortana to Echo
Breathe fresh
419.
air and inhale the
Reach the
least
ground
fresh air.
leaders and
Yeah,
reinforcements.
99% not air.
Copy that, Cortana?
Yeah,
Hold tight, gentlemen.
that's funny.
Out.
So it's
Once we're
been
inside
like
the ship, I can
I don't
home
know,
in on the
6
captain's
years,
command neural interface.
6
We'll
or 7
probably
years
be
since I
in or
started
near the
vaping.
ship's brig, which should narrow our search.
Echo 419
Okay,
inbound.
time to go in. Here we go.
Clear the drop zone.
Whee! Suck me in, ship daddy.
Look, a Mark V! Whoa!
Also, I can say I would much rather be playing this on the OLED behind me, obviously, and I'm kind of very
What?
sad
There's no
that
covenant here. Think maybe
after looking at
nobody's
the
home?
OLED display, it kind of ruins every other monitor or display. It just, yeah.
Covenant bastard!
Yeah, I got over soda. I used to work at a Denny's in high school, and I would drink a lot of soda because they would give you you could drink free drinks and stuff. I got over soda relatively recently with I got over soda with seltzer. At first, I thought seltzer was gross, but it sucks that it costs money. Although I guess you can get a Soda Stream, but if you want to get over drinking soda, then start drinking flavored seltzer. I think it sucks in the beginning. It really does, but just stick with it. Who hit me from behind? It sucks in the beginning, but then as soon as you get used to it, and as soon as you get used to the not sugar, I guess is what you have to get used to. It's definitely. I don't even know if is seltzer. Is there something with seltzer that's unhealthy? I don't know. Probably not healthy drinking unknown flavoring chemicals, but at least it's more healthy than sugar. Seltzer's not horrible. You're horrible. Well, see, try it again. Honestly, you should give it a try if you haven't tried it in a long time. It's cheaper than soda. You can get a bunch of different flavors. It's probably the flavor that you tried that you like, and not necessarily the fact that it was seltzer. So yeah, not telling you what to do, but I enjoy drinking seltzer now, and I never would have said that probably 5 or 10 years ago. Actually, flavored seltzer wasn't really that big of a thing. I mean, maybe it was a little bit of a thing. Oh, come on. Nothing a little lead solder? Yeah. That's funny.
Lots of contact! Fire in the hole! No covenant. You had to open your mouth. What the? That burns!
Sounds like Stockholm Syndrome. Friends don't let friends do seltzer. Just kidding. I think you should drink seltzer. Or water. That's another thing. If you don't drink water, 'cause I know some people that just straight up don't like water. I wouldn't say that I like water. I just understand that it's important to live. And plus, when you vape, vape juice is very dehydrating to your body, or maybe it's nicotine. Something in the vape juice is it takes a lot of water out of your body if you vape a lot. So I got used to drinking a lot of water. Trying to peer pressure. Yeah. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it? No more streams until you switch to drinking seltzer.
Keep it up.
That's funny.
We can use the side passages to find a way around.
Chief, let's see if we can find a way to open this door.
Yeah, let's see if we can find a way to open this door. I think so too, Dustin. That's why I tried so hard to come up with the background, the script stuff. And that's why I asked so many questions, and I'm sure I probably could ask more questions about all those questions that I asked you, but it wasn't even like the announcement teaser or the announcement, whatever it was, the not the news thing, but the press release, whatever. You know, it doesn't satisfy the thirst for knowledge, and it seems like it's that generation of consoles. You know, PlayStation 2, Xbox. I don't know a lot about it. Typically, I kind of stay away from consoles that are more soft modding centric, like I guess the PlayStation 2. Up until like the Retro Gem, there really weren't any actual mods other than like Free McBoot and OPL, but I don't really consider those hard mods, like mods to do. It's just, oh, you got a memory card now that can do free boot. So I just kind of ignored them on the channel in general, and I'm definitely curious about it, and I'm sure there's been breakthrough stuff. And that's why I appreciate Modsville. I know you guys had beef, but he definitely cares a lot about Xbox, and he knows the stuff that and Halo, and I keep saying Halo, and PlayStation 2 because of that N.2 SSD video he made. So I really appreciate his thoughts and his opinions about things. But you know, still, like there's still stuff to uncover and content to be made that I feel like would help people understand stuff better. Even with older mods like NES RGB and stuff, like I said earlier, there's definitely a bunch of technological stuff that some people might not care about. Like a lot of people probably just care about like, oh, should I do this mod or not? Or is it worth paying, you know, is it worth paying the money? Am I going to see a return on my money? Is it going to make it look better? But I care more about the technical stuff, about how it works, you know, so. I mean, maybe not 100% care about like every little nitty-gritty detail. That's why I appreciate that the retro community is so wide. Like there's so many different types of people that contribute things, and that's the beauty of retro, in my opinion, is all the different types of people that can contribute across the board, whether it's developers, stuff like what Red Herring does, which is, it seems kind of needless, but it's like really awesome, and it uncovers some interesting aspects of consoles that you don't really consider. Like how do you make a NES smaller and still make it usable? Like it seems silly, but it's very it is interesting and helpful in general to people's understanding of a console. Yay. I'm excited for the, well, I don't know if excited is the right word, but the Xbox controller from Retro Fighters. I don't even remember what it's called. The wireless controller that they're working on. That'll be cool. I hope it's as good as the Type S, because the Type S is a really good controller. If you're a Duke fan, just don't talk to me. Duke. My cousin liked the Duke. I don't understand how you could like a dinner plate as a controller. Hey, thanks, Goki God. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, it was definitely a difficult decision. I think I might have mentioned earlier that it might not be forever, but for now, your pre-production sample, Dustin. Oh man, unnamed Xbox Portable will be objectively the best controller. Yeah, it made it difficult to see people's heartfelt comments when I said that I didn't feel like making the videos anymore. That made it the most difficult to sort of like, I don't want to get to, you know, I can't even say that I don't want to get there because I'm already there. People kind of, I won't say depend on my content, but I definitely know I contribute in some way, at least with the retro modding news, to some extent, just finding stuff that people haven't really seen yet, keeping people up to date with projects that are still in progress as I find them. I don't necessarily know if it's that difficult for somebody to do themselves. Like, well, it does take a lot of effort on Twitter. You really need to just kind of, or X, whatever, stupid. You need to know life X basically to keep up to date with all the projects. But comment was the best. Oh, did not see it. Oh, see you later, Dustin. I'm off the bed. I'll catch you later. Just make sure to slice the video into a clip that says "Bye Project Stellar." Yeah, bye Project Stellar. That's a short, YouTube short. Yeah, that's the reason I felt so bad not wanting to do the Stellar video. That's the video that I left off on. Because I definitely feel like it could use the most help understanding what it actually is and does. Other than the obvious, you know, HDMI stuff. So, see you later. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, got stuck by a grenade. Really? I'm way back here? Ugh, at least I know where to go now though. Alright, I gotta find the health. There's a health pack somewhere. Okay, open this. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. And then I gotta go in the middle here. Or is it over here? Yeah, here.
Nothing over here.
I've been making YouTube videos for over 10 years and oh no, where are my grenades? You have to learn the process, otherwise there's no point. Yeah. I tried. I made an effort to have my own process, and that's why I got stuck when I just, it's not for me right this moment in my life. It's not say I might not ever pick it up in the future, but the deeper you get into it, the more you realize it's sort of min-maxing your strategy, your gear, the effort that you put into making videos. You know, all that stuff needs to be dialed as you get better. I think it's more rare nowadays for a channel just to be a random person, random video idea falling into success versus being very thought out and methodical with your process and taking advantage of every little thing. Looking at your analytics and making sure that you're doing, you know, making the right types of videos for you, meaning the videos that you are already successful at making, you know, make more of those videos. It's just not for me. I just want to I want to be able to make the videos that I want to make, and there's a lot that I just want
Cortana,
to do
Echo 419. Requesting reinforcements at our position.
outside of that, just in my life. And well, I don't know. I don't really know what my aspirations, I suppose, in general, were to do the YouTube channel stuff. So I'll have to come up with a new life goal other than just enjoy life and be with my family. I mean, that's a good goal. But I guess I always thought that it would end different. Like I would have other, I don't know, be more successful with YouTube and it would just be able to keep going. It kind of sounds sad, but it's not really meant to be. But I think most people do think that they're going to be successful when they start, and that's what kind of drives them in the beginning. But you find pretty quickly afterwards that you need to have strategy for processing. You're actually, Red Herring, you're going to enjoy the fact that I'm getting my Mega Switch HD shortly. Stanislav mailed mine out. So not only will you be able to teach about the evils of the NES RGB, but now you'll have one for the Genesis that you can teach evil. And I think that's going to be a similar situation that uses an FPGA for the video, or for like the Genesis GPU re-implementation. I think it'll be similar to that.
Where that came from. Way to go.
Are all these red dots up there? Oh, there.
Nice shot.
Hey, which way should we go now? All the doors on this level are locked.
Wait a moment. I'm going to access the Covenant BattleNet and locate an override code to open a door.
You better hurry, Cortana.
What is the Covenant BattleNet? Is that where they all played Diablo together? World of Warcraft, perhaps? Oh, I don't like that music. Oh god, I don't have the guns to deal with the hunters right now. Oh god. Okay, well, as much as this is a terrible place to leave off, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I've got to get ready for bed for work tomorrow. But I would like to thank everybody for joining me. I think I'm gonna do like a Retro Money News stream probably on this weekend sometime. It takes less time to do these streams than it did to film, edit, and upload the weekly Retro Money News video. So I might be able to do weekly Money News live instead. If that's really all, if that's a big thing that people want to see, is that stuff. Otherwise, I want to dive into another mod. I really want to get away from. Well, I'm still waiting for. That's pretty much it for Project Stellar. I don't know if I'm gonna make anything else with that because I've already done the mod. Unfortunately, I didn't stream it. And I'm waiting for another flex cable from Dan. I might try to do a retro gem install in a PS2. That might be the next thing that I work on. I'm gonna try to live stream that. Otherwise, I have a big backlog, so we can go a bunch of different directions. I have the loopy capture mod for the new 3DS XL. I could do that. You have a mod for me, yeah? Is it your I have the, like I said, I have a Turbo Nanza that I can do. I have the Saturn switcher I could do. I have some, I can make a Game Boy Advance macro out of a DS Lite. I could do, I have a, maybe we should look in my box of tricks on the next stream. So thanks everybody. Hopefully everybody understands and is not too disappointed. This is kind of a personal decision for me to step back for a bit. It might not be forever, but it's going to be for now and for a while, just so that I can enjoy my life as it is right now without adding more to it, and just yeah. So okay, I'm going to try to improve the quality of the stream too. You know, I know that's sort of, you know, doesn't really matter. It's more important to have content and stuff and still go through things, but background music and just maybe graphics and things and stuff. So all right, see everybody later. Thanks for watching.